This is the Baseline Facetime podcast, and we've got another great episode coming at you right now. Let's go. All right, welcome back to the Baseline Facetime podcast, episode 25, here coming at you on December 22nd. So coming up on Christmas, and a big, important day today as the NBA officially starts. We got regular season games coming your way tonight. In fact, the first one just tipped off between the Warriors and the Nets, at least tipped off as I'm recording right now, and then followed by the Clippers and the Lakers out in the Staples Center. So the NBA is back tonight. We get to preview a little bit of that action going on today. Obviously, other teams will be picking it up this week. We got games coming up on Christmas Day, per usual. So a sense of normalcy is back around the country, around major sports, and the NBA is back again. They're not in a bubble this time around, and just excited to see these teams, go play real, meaningful basketball on their home courts for the first time since March. Pretty amazing stuff. And, I'm excited about it. I know, being a Philadelphia 76ers fan, it's actually funny. The 76ers have not lost a game in the Wells Fargo Center, their home arena, in over a year, which, that's just insane to think about. They hadn't lost during the regular season last year in, the months of January and February and March before the shutdown and before they were sent to the bubble. So interesting stuff there. Again, December 22nd, the NBA is back. So let's talk about one of those teams that is back in action today in the Brooklyn Nets. And so just some thoughts on this team. They're a new look team, obviously, very much so. We got a new look Nets team. We've got Kevin Durant playing meaningful basketball for the first time in a long time for him. So excited for KD. I think with Kevin Durant, so let's just camp out there for a second. I think, back that season a couple years ago when the Warriors fell to the Raptors and KD tried to play in those playoffs and had that, bad injury, and after already battling injury, I think he earned a lot of respect. Just being willing to come out and try and fight for that team. Some respect that was much needed for KD, if we're being honest, after leaving Oklahoma City the way that he did. Kind of turned into, a villain in the league rather than a favorite player. I know he did for myself. He was one of my favorite players up until he left Oklahoma City, and then it was like, well, the way that he left is a little frowned upon. And so he kind of turned into a villain, but, respect to him. I hope he has a good year with the Nets. I really do. And we'll see what he and Kyrie are able to do. So with the Nets, some thoughts on an outlook for their season this year. I think that their ceiling is an NBA Finals, at least an appearance, right? Yeah, you have two of the most unbelievably gifted scorers to ever touch a basketball in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Two of the most creative players that the league has ever seen, two of the most gifted players that the league has ever seen, whether it's getting to the rim, whether it's, finishing, whether it's shooting. These guys are amazing, and now they're on the same team. So I think the Nets are very good, and they have as good a chance maybe of anybody to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals, obviously along with the Bucks and the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, the Sixers. There's some more depth in the East, and there's certainly more competition in the East this year with the Nets, hopefully being at full strength for the entire season. But again, they take on the Warriors tonight. Interesting game, and with KD going against his former team in the Warriors. The Warriors are obviously without Klay Thompson, a big blow for that team. We'll see what Steph can do. Steph has looked really, really strong in the preseason. Just looked like his old self after, obviously an injury last year. We'll see what the Warriors can look like this year, but excited to see what both of those teams who have high hopes coming into the season will look like. Moving on to the second game of our opening day doubleheader between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Clippers out in the Staples Center. So again, speaking of teams with some high expectations, These two teams have them yet again, and they did last year. What's, I think, interesting about this game is that this is the Lakers ring ceremony happening tonight in front of the Los Angeles Clippers. So in front of their rival, in front of the other team in the West who thought they were going to get it done last year. So kind of ironic, kind of funny that Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and company are going to have to watch the Lakers get their rings. Obviously well deserved after what they were able to do in the bubble. And a little sour taste. That's an understatement for what the Clippers have to endure tonight, just to be able to watch and look at that ceremony happening. My question, my thought with the Lakers, just transitioning to previewing these two teams just a little bit here for a couple minutes. Are the Lakers better than last year? That's my question. Are the Lakers better than they were last year? Obviously, they were able to cut down the nets. They were able to win it all last year. Are they a better team? You rarely see, I think at least, you rarely see a team come off an NBA championship and then be able to go into the next season and say they're better. But think about who they were able to pick up in the offseason in Montrezl Harrell from the Los Angeles Clippers. The biggest surprise probably of the NBA offseason is the fact that he is now switching teams in LA and is joining the Lakers, the reigning sixth man of the year in Montrezl Harrell. Look for him to just continue to do what he was able to do with the Clippers, but that's a huge get. That's a huge get for the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, they're going to be using him, hopefully, as well as the Clippers were able to do, use him off the bench and continue to be a spark there. But, I mean, you've got another guy, to add to LeBron and AD who can go out and get you 20, get you 30. Like, he's very, very good. And, look for the Lakers to utilize him. They also got Dennis Schroeder, a good, versatile guard. Look for him to play well with LA. And I think a big reason that, Dennis can play well with the Lakers is that, there's not as much pressure on him. He's got LeBron, he's got AD. He doesn't have to be, the primary ball handler at all times with LeBron. He can play a little off ball. He can, just make plays when it seems fit, kind of deal. He doesn't have to be the one always penetrating. Doesn't have to be the one always, making the plays, because they've got two of the best players in the world. And, Schroeder hasn't had that feeling, I don't think. And so look for him to have a good year. But, again, I think the Lakers got better, and that's scary. That's scary. And obviously to a Western Conference this year that, barring any injury, a Western Conference that is a lot more talented than it was last year. Think about some of the teams. You got the Phoenix Suns who were able to go and get Chris Paul. So now they've got a kind of a big three, if you will, in Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton. You got the Warriors, again, without Klay Thompson, but you got Steph Curry, you got Draymond, you got, some of those guys. And so you got James Wiseman, top 3 pick. And so we'll see. We'll see what they can do. But again, of course, you got the Clippers. You got the Nuggets, who were able to prove a lot in the NBA bubble last year, who maybe this year have a big three of their own in Michael Porter Jr., along with Jokic and Murray. And so we'll see what the Nuggets are able to do. Again, there's a few teams out west that are good. I'm probably forgetting a couple anyway, but just to give you a picture, the Lakers, again, they've gotten better, but they probably had to get better, because it's not going to be a roller, it's not going to be a coast. It might be a roller coaster. It's not going to be an easy coast to the NBA Finals if they want to repeat. All right, and so another couple things that I wanted to preview and just do on this episode. One is that we're going to look at a list of top 10 NBA duos that a man by the name of CJ Vogel released. He runs a pretty big Instagram page, so shout out to him. Don't know who he is at all, but shout out to him. He runs a sports update, I think is what it is, on Instagram. And he released his top 10 NBA duos, and I just wanted to break that down, give my thoughts on it as we, again, prepare for the NBA season to start. And then we'll get into a few predictions of mine in terms of, MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, that kind of stuff. We'll get into that as we close out the episode here in just a little bit. But first, with those top 10 NBA duos, you might be able to guess who's number one. LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I have no arguments there. Then CJ Vogel follows it with this. KD and Kyrie Irving at number 2, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George at 3. Then you got the Greek Freak and his tag team partner in Chris Middleton at 4. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray at 5, after, again, what they did in the bubble. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, what they did in the bubble, speaks to why they are number 6 on this list. You got Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. And to round out the top 10, you've got the duo in Portland in Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. James Harden and John Wall at 9. And last but not least, Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal at 10. Now, when I looked at this list for the very first time, I noticed something that surprised me. I looked at the list about 6 times looking for Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and they weren't on here. They were in the caption, though, as an honorable mention, along with another honorable mention in Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown for the Boston Celtics. And what amazes me, and I think Vogel did a great job in at least one area of making people notice the great duos that exist in this league. I mean, those are the top 10 followed by those 3 that were honorable mention. Those are 13 great NBA duos. So it's not we're moving away from this super team kind of thing to these duos that we have. 13 of the 30 NBA teams. We just named some very, very talented duos around the league on 13 of the 30 NBA teams. And so pretty significant stuff there. But yeah, just to break this down a little bit, I do see a little bit of a recency bias on this list. And by recency bias, I mean, what have these players and teams done as of late? And as of late, meaning the NBA bubble. So again, we see Jokic and Murray, who proved to the league, proved to the sports world that they're a great duo. Coming in at number 5 on this list, obviously without what they were able to do in the NBA bubble, they're not at 5 on this list, so that's significant. And another team who, maybe it's not biased, but Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo coming in at 6. Again, if they don't get to the finals and Jimmy and Bam don't do what they do, particularly Jimmy, they're not at 6 on this list. They might not even be on this list at all, given, Jimmy didn't have... people forget Jimmy didn't have a great year, especially even shooting. Jimmy didn't have a great regular season. Jimmy Butler, he had a phenomenal playoffs, a phenomenal few weeks in that bubble. And all credit to him. I know we talked about him on several episodes, previewing the finals and, just breaking down the games in the finals with LeBron and Jimmy Butler going back and forth, and he was amazing. But obviously that's why, he's listed here in the top 10 at number 6. You got Luka and Porzingis. The bottom few are a few question marks for me, particularly number 10 in Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, and I might get some hate for that. But we'll see how the Wizards look. They actually battle my 76ers tomorrow night. So maybe then we'll see who the better duo is, at least in that first game. Whether it's Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid or Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. And I like Russ. I really do. I don't think he gets enough credit nowadays. Obviously, the amazing numbers that he was putting up a few years ago, but he's still doing well and is still performing at a high clip. Lost a little bit of athleticism, I guess, but he's still very good, and obviously he's worthy at least of being in the top 13, but we don't know what that duo is going to look like, we don't know how well Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal will work together, play together. We'll see how much of a threat the Wizards are coming out of the East. And again, you got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, honorable mention on this list. I think they could be in the top 10 maybe. Devin Booker and Chris Paul. I will say that I think with the Phoenix Suns, it's less of a duo and more of a trio. I really think Chris Paul is going to do wonders for DeAndre Ayton, who hopefully can have a really, really monstrous year. I think he's gonna be good. I really, really do. And so we'll see how this plays out. But an interesting list, and again, a pretty accurate one. We'll see KD and Kyrie how that works out. Again, two of the most gifted scorers that the league has ever seen are now playing on one team. That's going to be a scary sight. I would love to be Steve Nash right now as a rookie head coach and just be able to say, okay, let's give it to Kyrie. All right, this play, let's give it to KD. Let's, ISO ball. Again, imagine being a coach with those two gifted athletes out there. It's just unbelievable to think about. So we'll see what this season holds. A lot of this list at least is barring injury. Hopefully all these guys can stay healthy, and we'll see how it all plays out. But just thought I would break down those NBA duos real quick, give your thought. Give you my thoughts on that, and maybe make you think about who you would have in your top 10 NBA duos. Who would you have at number one? Is it LeBron and KD or AD, or is it somebody else? And so think about that as we look ahead to the season. Now let's give some predictions. I wasn't gonna do this, but I can't help myself. I want to. The start of the NBA season, mark it down, December 22nd. We'll come back and look at this, but let's give some prediction. I'll give prediction as to what I think the year is going to look like, some player awards, and some predictions for the NBA Finals. We'll start there. You might have already guessed it based on what I said about this team earlier. The Los Angeles Lakers got better. The Los Angeles Lakers got better, and I don't see anybody beating them. That's my prediction. That's it. I'm taking the Los Angeles Lakers to repeat as champions. I'm taking LeBron to get another ring, an inch closer to Jordan in that category. And I don't know who they're going to play. So I'm giving a half a prediction there. I don't know who's coming out of the East. Will it be the Bucks? Will Giannis finally make it to an NBA Finals? Will it be the Miami Heat again? With their duo of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo? Will it be the Nets, this new look Nets team with a rookie head coach in Steve Nash? Will it be the Boston Celtics finally getting there? Will it be the 76ers? We'll see. I don't know. There's a lot of depth in the East, and there's a lot of, I don't know who's going to make it. Who's going to make it to the playoffs even. You name those 5-6 teams that I just named, and then you look at a team like the Atlanta Hawks. Who a lot of people are big on with what they were able to do in this offseason, and Trae Young coming in for yet another year where he's probably improved, and he's got some more pieces there to work with. So look for the Hawks, look for the Wizards again with that duo that they have at the guard position. If they stay healthy, we can see them making the playoffs. The list goes on. Obviously, one team that I somehow forgot to mention, coming out of the East as a possibility is the Toronto Raptors. Maybe they can do it again. There's an interesting, kind of look there to the Eastern Conference, and I think based on how the Milwaukee Bucks performed in the bubble, it's safe to say that there's really not, they might be the favorites, or the Nets might be the favorites to come out of the East, but it's not an overwhelming favorite. Like there is out west. I think the East, one of those few teams that I said, if they come out of the East, it's not going to be a very big shock. And there's a lot of balance and a lot of strong duos, especially in that Eastern Conference, to think about. So I'm going to take the Lakers in the finals over an unnamed Eastern Conference team. So that's my prediction there. My prediction for the MVP, will it be Giannis? I think he's got a chance again at repeating again. And not a dark horse by any means, but I think if I had to pick someone new, it would be Luka Doncic. I think just the way that he's performed, his amazing numbers that he was able to put up last year, in just his second year, he's going to explode again. He's simply amazing. And if he improves at all, it's going to be hard for him not to win the award. You know what I mean? He could win the award with the same numbers he got this year, if we're being honest. So we'll see who gets it there. I think Giannis or Luka will get it. The reason I don't say LeBron is just simply because of Anthony Davis being there. If one of those guys was on their own, they're obviously in the running. They're obviously in the running now, but I think it takes away, you know, the possibility of one of them winning the award, considering that they're playing with one another, and I think they will be okay with that. I think they'll trade MVP awards for finals championships. So we'll see there. My rookie of the year prediction. I said it on an earlier episode as we previewed the NBA draft. I think Obi Toppin is simply phenomenal. I think he's going to have a great year. I think he, might be key for the Knicks. LaMelo Ball has had some highlight plays in the preseason. Looking forward to seeing him play. I'm going to take one of those two guys. James Wiseman could very well get it. Edwards has looked pretty good with the Timberwolves. I think Wiseman's starting tonight with the Warriors, so we'll see how he can play a role in with the Golden State Warriors. But I'm going to take Obi Toppin or LaMelo Ball. I'll stick with Toppin. If you want me to pick one, I'll take Toppin. My defensive player of the year prediction is a bit of a dark horse, although he's an elite defender. As everybody knows, he's a first-team All-NBA defensive team member. Not Giannis, not Anthony Davis, not Rudy Gobert, not Joel Embiid, not Marcus Smart, but I'm taking Ben Simmons to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. I think he got... he kind of put the league on notice last year. He kind of put the league on notice in a sense. Everybody knew he was a good defender, but he really took it to the next level last year, leading the NBA in steals at 6'10", is just unheard of. He was able to lead the league in steals. And the unique thing with Ben Simmons, of course, is his height and versatility on the defensive end, and his length. I mean, he can literally guard 1 through 5. The Sixers actually featured a lineup in the preseason where Ben was the 5-man on defense, and he was guarding the center. And we'll see if we see any of that. We'll see if Doc Rivers implements that on a regular basis. But Ben is unique. Ben is going to guard the opposing team's best player pretty much every night. And I think he's got an even more important role in the defensive end for the Philadelphia 76ers in the fact that Josh Richardson is now out. Josh Richardson, a very good defender, tenacious defender, gritty guy, and he's out. Seth Curry's in, and there's a bit of a difference there on the defensive end. So look for Ben Simmons to have another phenomenal defensive year. Again, he's gotten some recognition already, winning or making an all-defensive team. So I think he's on notice, and I think he's definitely in the conversation, maybe a little bit of a dark horse in comparison to Giannis and AD and guys like that. But I am taking Ben Simmons to win Defensive Player of the Year. My 6th Man of the Year prediction is either, again, a repeat or a newcomer. Repeating would be Montrezl Harrell. I think he's going to continue to do what he did in LA, or Karis LeVert. And I think Karis LeVert is looking like he's going to come off the bench for the Nets, and we've already talked the firepower that they have. This dude is very good. He's very good, and he kind of got a little more notice around the league as well last season. But now he's got Kyrie, now he's got KD, and a little more off his shoulders, maybe a little less game planning for him. Teams were looking at him, especially down the stretch of that season without Kyrie in the lineup, like, okay, who do we have to target? Who do we have to shut down? Who do we have to defend? It's Karis LeVert. Well, that's not the case anymore with Kevin Durant, right? If you're going to focus in on one guy, it's going to be Kevin Durant, the most gifted scorer in NBA history, and just in terms of his ability. So look for Karis LeVert to get some more, looks, get some more shots, get some more ISO opportunities in a sense, maybe, maybe not more shots, but just more opportunities in the sense that he's not going to be doubled. He's not going to be the highlighted man in, the film session. That's going to be Kevin Durant. And so look for Karis LeVert possibly to win the 6th Man of the Year award if it does not go back to Montrezl Harrell or Lou Williams. Of course, is still in the mix like he is every year. My most improved player prediction, that's kind of a hard one to guess at, but I'm going to take Michael Porter Jr. just based on his limited amount of time that we've seen him on the NBA floor, And just what he's been able to do, what he did in the bubble, had some moments there where it's like, okay, this kid's going to be good. I think if he stays healthy, he's definitely going to be in the conversation for most improved player. Or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, another one to look for. I'm going to take Porter as my prediction, but another one to look for is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. No Chris Paul out there. Shai is kind of the guy, SGA as they call him. He's very, very talented. He's already looked good. Just look for his numbers to definitely increase. I don't know how good the team's going to play. That's for sure. They're certainly not in the playoff conversation, it doesn't seem like, but look for him to have a very, very, very solid year out there in Oklahoma City. And then finally, my prediction for Coach of the Year. As a Sixers fan, I'm going to just love to say Doc Rivers right now. I think if Doc Rivers is able to, help Ben and Joel play well together, maybe you get James Harden in the mix. I don't know, just throwing that out there. But that's a possibility. I think James Harden, you add James Harden to the mix, and Doc Rivers might become the favorite for Coach of the Year. Another guy to have your eye on is Monty Williams out in Phoenix. Again, with the new addition of Chris Paul, we were able to see what Chris Paul was able to do with the Thunder when no one said he would be able to. Now there's some expectation with this Phoenix Suns team. Again, with a trio of Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton out there. Look for a pretty good and competitive Suns team. So Monty Williams as a possibility. Another interesting guy to look for is the rookie head coach, Steve Nash. And again, what a better position to find yourself in. You couldn't ask for two gifted, better players than Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. And just the opportunity that Steve Nash has with that team is significant. And again, those guys are just amazing. I can't even imagine getting to coach those guys as a rookie head coach in the NBA. So we'll see. Maybe the Nets play well. The Nets do what many are predicting them to do. Maybe a 1 or 2 or 3 seed in the East, and maybe make a push for the NBA Finals. You could very well see Steve Nash winning Coach of the Year, and who doesn't love Steve Nash? So that'd be pretty awesome to see. But that's my predictions for this NBA season. We'll see if any of them are correct. I don't know. I don't know. We're just going to have to stay tuned till the end of the NBA basketball season to find all of that out. The next episode is coming up here, hopefully at the end of the week, just to let you know about that post-Christmas it's looking like. And so you can stay tuned for that late this week, early part of next week. You can stay tuned. We've got a special guest planning to join us. You'll see who that is. We're going to break down the James Harden saga and just give our thoughts and opinions and take on that and see where we think his best fit is, see all kinds of stuff relating to the James Harden situation. Will he find himself in Philadelphia? Should Philadelphia give up Ben Simmons for James Harden? Should Philadelphia try and just wait it out? Should they see if what they have works? Will James Harden go elsewhere? We're going to see if James Harden's going to stick around in Houston or if he's going to find his way out. So we're going to preview some of that on the next episode. But again, December 22nd, we finally made it, the start of the NBA season, and looking forward to a great year. Looking forward to just, releasing new episodes regularly and getting back in the groove of things as we head toward Christmas here in a couple of days. So Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful, safe time spent with loved ones and family. And Merry Christmas, and we'll see you soon. That's all for now. Peace. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Baseline FaceTime podcast. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.